Yeah, turn some lights on. Hell, you can't see me. Got all this black on. I am very, very happy to be here. I got up this morning about 4 o'clock, caught a plane to get up here, and got to try to get back as quick as possible. We got 3 of the best players in the United States on our campus. That's what my assistants told me. But I am really pleased to be able to come up and share with the coaches something that I think may be important, and that's some little philosophy on our defense. Before I get into that, I'd like to say a few things about Nolan Richardson in a very short manner. When I was a high school coach, which I was that for 13 years, 10 of them as a head coach, I always want to pass on to the coaches that I didn't come here or get to this position by being a grad assistant and right into assistant coach and right on up the level. I started as a 7th grade coach. From 7th grade, right from the 7th grade, right to the 9th grade, and finally on to the high school, then to junior college. I mean, I paid my dues, step by step, along the way. I graduated from the University of Texas at El Paso under, I think, the greatest and finest defensive coach in America, and Don Haskins. They call him the Bear out there. So I'm a product of, I said we don't do everything they do, but I have my own philosophy about defense, and that's the things that I would talk to you a little bit about. I remember when I wanted to find out what would be important to me, I taught at a high school that was basically Mexican-American kids, and for a long time there, the tallest kid I ever had was 5'11". And I used to go to these clinics and listen to all these college coaches talk about the 6'10", and the post play, and the 6'9", and the guys who were alley-ooping and dunking and all those things. And I wanted to find out something, go somewhere and somebody tell me something about the 5'6" and 5'5" and the 5'4" I had to compete against those 6'7", 6'8". So I want to try to, first of all, go over something with you that I think is pretty important. The first thing I think is so important in anything we do is that we have to form something that we believe in. That's important. Something that you believe in, you work with it, and you believe it, therefore you can teach it. That's a form of philosophy. You can teach what you believe. When I think of believing, I go back to my grandfather who, I was not a fortunate one. I didn't have a mother, which I was born to one, but at the age of 3, at least I'm pretty sure of that, but at the age of 3 she passed away. And at the age of 10 or 11, my dad was gone. So my grandmother and my grandfather took me, and they did the best they could with me. But I remember him saying about a 10-year-old boy in a red wagon, he said, son, you got to believe, and that's so important. You got to believe, and whatever you feel, you got to believe it. And if you believe it strong enough, you got a chance to make sure people believe in you. He's telling me about this little boy that had a wagon that was 10 years old. Every winter during the months, he would go around the neighborhood and pick up all these pop bottles. And some of you guys that might be close to my age would know that back in those days, you could turn them into the store and get 2-cent deposits and stuff like that. You younger guys wouldn't know that. He saved up all the bottles during the winter months. Put them in his garage. Had a little red wagon. But, his wagon sat outside sometimes, so it snowed a little bit, it rained, and it rusted a little. He'd go put it back in and go back around and forget. But finally, the summer months came, which was school out. And what he would do, he was a very poor kid, he would take those bottles that he accumulated there in the garage, put them on his wagon, and go to the neighborhood store, 2 cents a bottle. And he did that. He got his bottles on his red wagon. He started walking across the street. And the old wheels on the wagon had been rusted a little bit, so they got to shaking. And as soon as he made the step off the curb, that wheel popped loose. And when that one wheel popped loose, of course, that wagon overturned and bottles, bang! And the little boy was 10, and he was so upset, and he says, damn! And there was a preacher standing on the corner. He said, come here, son. The little boy walked up to him, kind of meek. He says, the next time that happens, you look up into the sky and you say hallelujah. And you better believe that something good will happen. The boy said, yes, sir. Now pick up the remaining of those bottles and put them on your wagon and get over to the store. So he did. And on his journey to the store again, after he fixed his wheels, they started rattling again. And he looked up. He said, Rep, so you got to believe, and I do. And as he kept, oh, please don't come loose. I believe they won't come loose. Please don't come loose. To himself. And true enough, they fell apart. Turned over, and he looked up. And he remembered, I got to believe. He says, hallelujah. Do you know the wheels popped back on the wagon? Do you know bottles that broke on the other end where the Reverend was standing was fixing in the air, coming back to sit on his wagon? And the preacher down on that end said, damn. As a coach, we say that all the time. I want you to do this. And when they get it done, sometimes, damn, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah. I was looking at that tape right now, and I saw 4 kids when they first came, young guys. They were going to be pretty good basketball players. And basketball players make us better basketball coaches. And 4 of them are millionaires, and I'm still starving. But it's so gratifying to know and to feel that when you started off on this lower level and you're believing in something, in some concepts, and then things begin to work, and you're believing that they can continue to work, that's very important. And I think that's the most important thing that I can pass on to high school, junior high, is to pick out something that you actually believe in, and you work with it, and it becomes part of your philosophy, and you teach it that way. At the University of Arkansas, since I've been there, I've heard all kinds of things that we do. We run and gun. I think everything we try to do is triggered from our defense. And so what I'll talk a little bit about is the philosophy of our defense, and then maybe draw a little bit of it up so you can see what I'm talking about. First of all, again, I think it's important that you believe, and I gave you the little scenario of the young boy. I think you ought to be quiet too. In other words, I feel this way. I do not want to coach like any coach I know. But any coach out there, if he's the greatest, that's his job. If that's the way he is, that's the way he is. I don't want to be anyone but me. I will use some of your ideas, but I incorporate it into the way I am as a person. I feel that I'm a runner. I'm a mover. And I don't have time to wait around. So I play my basketball game like that. I don't have time to wait around and pass it 13 times to shoot the same shot I could have got on the second pass. See, I just the way I am. I play golf 1 hour and a half. Hell, if I get past 4, I just pick it up and say, hell, give me a 5. I ain't got time to be waiting there and keep putting and hitting and all that crap. Just pick it up, put it in your pocket, put the score down, keep going. Don't have time. That's how I feel. So I don't try to emulate anyone in that fashion. I get a kick out of some of the high school guys. They go in and watch guys, and then the next thing you know, they become that person. That's bull. You can't not be no one but you. And that's important, I think, to me. I'm going to be Nolan Richardson, and I don't care how good someone else is. I'm going to still be Nolan Richardson. I may still, I tell everybody, I've never invented anything. Never. And I can copy my butt off, though. I can copy. And I'll make it mine. It's like some of these other coaches that I see that have stolen materials, but it's theirs. This game is a very simple game. Defense, you stop them from scoring, and then you try to outscore. So you're scoring on one end, and you're trying to stop on the other. So that's very simple to me. So that's why I said I want to start from a standpoint of the defense. And then when I say be quiet, it reminds me of this kid. And maybe you've heard this. The phone rang. Boy picked up the phone. He says, hello. The voice on the other end says, may I speak to your father? He's not here. He says, he's not there? He says, no, he's busy. He said, he's busy? Yes, he's busy. Well, can I speak to your mom? She's busy too. Your mom's busy too? Yes. Is there anyone there that I can speak to? Yes. Who? The police department. He said, the police department? Yes. Can I speak to someone in charge there? No. He says, why? They're busy. He said, well, wait a minute. Is there anyone else? Yes. Who? The fire department. The fire department? He said, yes. So, well, let me speak to the guy in charge there. They're busy. He said, son, what is everybody doing? They're looking for me. See, I lost 4, and everybody's calling Arkansas. Where's no? He's busy. Well, they're looking for me, baby. I ain't nowhere around. Sometimes out of sight is out of mind. So don't always jump up there and say, I did this and I did that. And it's I. I is the most least important word to me in athletics. And those are the things that I think I try to talk to our kids about when we start preaching defense. You have to believe in what you're doing. Our defense is multiple. And it's really weird because sometimes I don't know what the hell we're doing ourselves. But it's multiple. Now, if I'm confused, you know damn well the other guys they playing against are confused. Gotta be. But what I mean by multiple is that we have what we call 3 defenses. 1, 2, 3. The first defense, 1, is man-to-man. My second defense is a matchup, and it's a 1, 1, 3. And my third defense, very simple, is a 1, 3, 1. Okay, that's all we got. 1, 2, 3. From the 1 defense, which is a man, we can start it and run it. I don't want to get in your way. I'm left-handed, so I'll stand on this side. Let's just kind of put some people here. Is that upside down? That's what I mean. Crap's upside down. You're going to have to look the other way. Turn around, everybody. Shit, it's the other side here, isn't it? Am I out of your way now? Is that, at least you can see that, right? Okay. Pardon? I'm going to get out your way. That looks pretty dang good there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many to play with, right? Defensively, that's what we're going to try to do is start off by just matching up man-to-man. And I think everybody knows basically what a man-to-man is. It just depends on how you want to play it. In other words, in the olden days, they used to say, hey, force everything to the middle. You know, we started off, everything you try to force to the middle. Then you've got theories of saying force to the sideline. Force it to the sideline and don't let it reverse. So we kind of do both. And that's something, we kind of do both. They said, well, how do you, well, hell, it ain't very many of them. You know, we got guys that try to force it to the, and the guy gets back around and says, hey, force him to the middle then. Shit, you got to take him somewhere. Isn't that cute? See, See, but you look at me and say, God dang, that guy's he's too smart. I say, hell, my track record is, though. This is what I'm saying, basically, to make our kids and make people understand. We teach read defense. Read. Eyesight. Eyesight and decisions is the best thing anyone can ever have, as far as basketball is concerned in my program, defensively and offensively. Read, meaning that this guy who takes it to the baseline may be a better player going to the baseline. So I said, hey, force him to his weak hand. That may be, he might have to go to the middle. And we'll read and rotate. And so eyesight is very important to the way I want to teach defense. It ain't just like everybody else's defense. We help, yes, if the ball was in this position, sure we step in and help from the offside. Everybody. I mean, there's not a program except for maybe in the NBA where they got so many feet they have to be away from a player to guard him. We're going to help from the offside, but what I'm saying to you is that we are going to be in a position that we read. Reading means that if this guy all right, we'll just go with one player. If this player is going in this direction, if that player is going in that direction, then we're going to try to turn and corral him and let him go down into this direction. But if he's going in that direction, this is where the reading comes in. If he's going in that direction at a speed, especially college. Now, if you can get away with this in college, I know you can get away with it in high school because the skill level is a little bit different. If that guy's on that dead dribble heading toward that sideline full speed, and this guy is leaving like they normally do, we have a rule saying if you see his tail, stay home and trap. Stay home and trap if you see his tail. So he's leaving me. So he's going away from the action. Anytime someone goes away from action, we trap them. That's simple. It's easy to teach. So now here this guy coming on that hard dribble with coming off of number one, and he fakes like he's going with it, and then next thing you know, they both got him. Now, this is where the read comes in. The other three guys play zone. Actually, that's what it is. Because you have to get in positions and you read to where the next pass may be thrown. We averaged only 27 turnovers a ball game. There were some nice guys turn it over 35, 40 times. This is major college basketball. Just with something simple, what I say we're going to read. So, if we're saying that if the balls come down the sideline, full steam ahead, we run a drill, this is our drill. See tail, stay home, take off. Decoy. Anytime you see offenses are very simple. Now today they got more of the motions offenses. So if you got motion, a lot of motion and picking, like Kansas. Kansas is a very good picking basketball team. Then that's why I say we run multiple defense. I'm not going to get out there and try to make our guys bust through picks and slide and switch all the time when I can match up and say, hey, you can't pick. You're not going to pick us that much anymore. We're going to change up some. Then once you kind of get away from that, then maybe we get back into some man. I think that when you're going to be working on defense, I think there should be more than one way to skin a cat. Old Granny's words. More than one way to skin a cat, son. More than one. So I'm saying, hey, I'm going to put some of her philosophy in my game. So we're going to teach read defense, and once I teach them to read on defense, let's see, 3. Once I can teach a guy to kind of read on defense, we can cover that man that's coming through. We can cover any area, in any area that the ball is on that side. So if the ball is trapped in this corner over in here, the other three, like I said, will rotate. Just rotate. And get in a position that if the ball is touched, and see, we feel this way, touching the basketball is very important to us. So we have a drill, what we call mirror the ball. See, we don't want to take it from the guy who's got him trapped. We don't want to try to reach in and get him, because that's when you put the officials in the game. You know them guys with the striped shirts and the glasses they should be wearing? That's when they get in the game. So you said, hey, mirror the ball. So now we got a drill. Get the ball. Suppose the guy has bounced it. He picked it up. Now, all I want you to do is to mirror that ball. Just stay with it. And if you touch it, it's going to be ours. I believe that, I said. If you touch the basketball, it's going to be ours. We're going to get it. If they float it, we're going to get it. If they panic, we're going to get it. So am I playing the kind of defense that would say that it's a gambling defense? Not necessarily gambling. I just said that was one of the situations that we have set up. The rest of it would be basically man-to-man sound defense. But I allow my kids to go and trap because they know how to read and everybody knows how to rotate. So what I'm saying, I told you in the beginning, I like my kids to make decisions. I don't have them like puppets on a string. You know, when the ball goes here, everybody's going to be there. And when we run our offense, A go to B, and B go to C, and D go to, and everything, musical chairs, and you can just, I can't do that to individuals. I used to when I started off. But then when you get on a college level, you try to recruit some kids that can make some decisions. And if you got kids that can make some pretty good decisions, especially from the defensive standpoint, that makes your defense awfully tough. And now they're just telling me, well, what kind of defense are you running? Well, the man-to-man starts on that one. When we say red, we got a full court man-to-man defense. We say blue, we got a full three-quarter defense. We say green, we got a half-court defense. But actually, it's a man-to-man, same principles, nothing's changed, rotation's the same, doubling up is the same, and the key is reading. And so you work on that every single day. Now, when I can get through my man-to-man defense and teach guys to read, and you cannot do this by drawing it up. You see, we have skull. You can't say, you can create some situations that they can read in, but you cannot unless you get it out on the floor and show this young man that, hey, you could have come here and helped while these two guys were doing what they're doing. It's got to be out there on the floor. Reading ain't something you can write in the books. That's the thing that I enjoy about it. So like I said, I don't coach like nobody, and I'm glad. My defense is hopefully like no one's, and I'm glad. That's probably, maybe I could win a championship if I got it the other way around. But I honestly believe that today's time, their decision making for the offense is lacking in a lot of cases. It's a little bit lacking in a lot. See, basketball to me is a game of decision making. So, if you as an offensive coach, and let's just ask yourself a question. How much time do you spend on working on your offense man to man? I bet you more of your practice is spent in teaching your offense. See, we're just the opposite. Most of our time is teaching the defense to make it where you cannot come out and say, okay, this is how it's going to be, so we're going to execute this way on you. See, like a chess match. Your defense against my offense. My good man-to-man defense, no traps, no this, no that. So I'm going to say to you that we're going to work on our defense, and we're going to use more of trying to make decisions, trapping anywhere. I don't care where they trap. I want to find out where the other three guys are. Now, it's the possibility of a trap in the middle. I says, don't trap the middle. You're giving him too many lanes he can pass. He can go one way, the other way, inside. Let's not stay around. Let's now create this kind of a situation, fellas. If we get him like this, Anything in that area, you got my blessings. In the middle of the floor, we'll leave them alone. You say, well, how can you teach that? You teach it by putting them on the floor and running some traps and seeing what the other three guys will do. Seeing what the other three will do. Now kick it out of that trap and see how we rotate and get back. See, the key to basketball is balance, and defense is balance. So you got to rotate back to balance. All right. At Bowie High School, to this day, there's one coach in here that got one of my kids named Gary Carden. He can testify to you that he got the biggest one. He was a center. He was 5'11". We won 33, 34 games. And the year before was 29, same kids. And I had been with Coach Haskins where we played that good, strong man-to-man defense. And nutshell, everything's in the shell. You know, have our defense in a shell. But it didn't help me because we were little guys, and they shoot it and jump up and boom. You know, over them little guys, they'd be playing good defense. They just shoot it, go get it, stick it back in. So I started thinking, at that time I said, I want to keep this defensive philosophy, but I got to get out and make them do something they don't normally do. Go after, take some chances. And this is how I came up with, boy, that's pretty, you know, we're playing this good team out of Eastwood and we're state champions one night, and we're not supposed to win. And I think that was the first time I decided, hey, we're going to do some trapping, rotating. We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to get beat probably. We might even get beat worse. Those kids were so confused. They kept trying to run the offense, and we're trapping every pass. If they passed any pass that went to the wing, it was a trap. Any pass went to the wing, we trapped it. Any dribble going down the wing side, it's a trap. And everybody else rotated. We had a lot of success with that. And so for 9 years, I ran that. 8 years. 8 years we ran that kind of defense. Trap a lot out of our man-to-man. Read and trap. Read and trap. So, went to junior college, and we did the same thing. Read and trap. So, all I'm saying to you is that once I can get you to read and trap out of a man-to-man, then the zones are really easy to do it. Because now you got the people to go into the places that you want them to go, and you got guys who don't have to always go to that place because now he even know how to read in case he don't have to be there. Let me give you a point. Let me show you what I'm saying here. Yeah, all right, tighten it down here. Does that look like a 1-3-1? Okay. Our 1-3-1, and I'll give you what I was talking about. Our 1-3-1, if the ball comes in, of course, we got him and this guy giving me this. We got him with the first pass in that area. We got this guy doing this, and we got this guy covering the middle. Okay? Those are the rotations. Okay. We were so big at one time with Oliver Miller back here, and I'll draw it up with the little guys, that he could not get to the first pass as quick. So then we changed it a little bit on the reading assignment. He would stay and take the two-man spot who would normally be there. He would stay. Instead of the two-man getting to that position, we change it and let the three-man go to his position from here and bring the two-man in toward the middle. Okay? Now, it just depends on who you got back there if a kid is so slow. I'm talking about high school little guys now. All little ones. Let's this way this time. Okay, now, our rotations are the same. We're trying to trap this area, cover middle. First pass, basket. Now, but once you teach a kid to read, that's what can happen. Here comes a kid with a dribble. Number 4 is baiting, because he's got to get him to go. And here comes 2. 2 can come out of there. He reads, 4 reads. He's back in 2 beats. See, in other words, we have taught our kids basically just how to read. And now they can rotate into different spots. And then when you start looking at it, you'll say, well, hell, how did 2 trap and 4 win? And the other time, 4 trapped and 2 stayed middle. So now you're scouting. You said, God damn, they got all, how can they be doing all that kind of stuff? All they did was they were reading. He saw his opportunity to get to the ball in a surprise manner. 4 reacted to his spot. Everybody else did the same things. And so that's why I'm saying to you, we do a little bit different stuff, and it may look weird, but you'd be surprised. Very simple, because the game is developed by eyesight more. If I see somebody's taking my spot, I just react to his spot. Or to the next possible spot that I might be able to touch the ball. 1-3-1. Now, that 1-3-1 can be all the way up on the ball, 3/4, half. And so there it is. I got 4 defenses out of this one. I got 4 defenses out of my man. And I got 4 defenses out of my 1-1-3. 4 defenses. That's 12 defenses. And actually all I got is 3 defenses. 3. So I'm not, I don't have the time to just show you everything broken down, because it takes too much time to do that. Go ahead, sir. 1-3-1. Once we call it, that's a good question. Once you call it 3 defense, you in it everywhere. Every stage of it, that's where you in. Once you call a man, that's what you're in every stage. Once you call 1-1-3, every stage of a 1-1-3, that's what you're in. Now, we can get a little tricky too. We can go 1-1-3, first pass on the court, or second pass on the court, on the front court. You're in a man. Match up, you're in a man. We can change it with a pass. We can change it with a dribble. But I'm talking about to start off, you're going to teach it. The best way to teach it is just start off, man, all the way. 1-1-3-1, there, all the way. Same rotation. Same rotation. Then, of course, let me draw this up, 1-1-3. This is what I call my 2-man press in reality. That's all it is. All I'm trying to do is change the game. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make you, whatever you've been practicing, all my philosophy is in defense is don't let them do what they do in practice every day. That's all I'm trying to do. If someone if I can do what I can do in practice every day, I got a chance. I think I have a hell of a chance to beat you, because that's what I do. That's what we work on. That's what I do best. It's what I do every day in practice. So what I'm trying to do is take away the practice time. You see, I really believe this. That you don't win games when you go to the game. I think you win them in practice. I really believe that. I think if your practices are going well and the kids are executing, the kids are understanding, they believe, then your chances at that game is better. I don't think that you can go to the game. There's some games, like I went to the dressing room. I walked out of the game. I went to the dressing room, and from my dressing room, I told Lee, shoot a 3, and let's get in overtime and win. Did y'all see him? He shot the 3. I was in the dressing room. Yeah. And I came back out. So, way to execute, son. That's something. I hear it all the time. Well, Coach, what about that last play? Especially these news guys. They're heavy upstairs. What about that last play? Well, I called it. You know, we worked on it in practice several times. And they executed very well. We call it our go-to guy. Wow. So you're full of shit, too. There are some kids, boy, they just blessed with, give me the ball on the last shot. Give it to me. I want it. You got those kind? You know, I want it. I don't care we don't have a play. Give it to me. I like that kind of guy. Hell, then I can draw up any kind of play, so just give it to him, Hoss. Y'all pick and go down here. Give it to Robert. Y'all pick and you do this. And TV camera comes over and, yeah, okay, now we're going to draw this up real quick. Give it to Robert. Give it to Robert. Shit, Robert wants it. You know? I don't think you're going X and O's, everybody's so great. I feel the guy with the last mark going to win anyway. So it's too bad that it's not that way. It's too bad that I wish I could take the credit for everything our kids do. I do take the blame for everything they do. And that's why in every one of my press conferences when we lose, and I'll talk a little about that too, the first thing I say is, in the press conference, I lost tonight. I did not prepare my kids well enough to win. Now what can they ask me? See, I just took all the sting out, you know. Well, I just told you I lost. This is my fault. Even though I didn't shoot not one free throw, I didn't take any charges, I didn't make a field goal. It's my fault. I did not prepare my. You know what? I know that a lot of coaches will. Some of them are afraid to say that. I've always said that. I will always take the blame for everything because I know that's where it's going to go anyway. So why kid ourselves? You see? So the first thing, again, is that I think is important is that when you start believing in something, you just try to teach it the best you know how and work at it. Here's the other one. We start off. Let's put 5 here. Is that upside down? That's 3. How's that? They're going in that. Yeah. We're going to go here. This direction. This is what I call my 1-1-3, and I'm going to move it up. So what I'm saying to you is that now we got rules. Again, you got trapping rules. You got the same kind of rules. And now we've already worked real hard on our man, so we got a better idea of how we're going to really match you up out of a 1-1-3, and we'll do the best job we can. So we got some rules here. Let's say that the 2 guards came down the floor and they were wide, and one has got to decide on taking one of them. And so we'll take ours. Let's say he's got it. And one will move in that direction to take him. If he passes, if he makes that long pass across, any pass that goes across, then 2 will take the pass on a long, and 1 will come back into the area in which 2 was. Okay, only on a pass, a deeper pass, there's a rotation. Okay? Oh. The other rule is from free throw line extended. 3 is a little gray area there, but 3 will cover and 4 will cover to that point and back. 5 has got the middle and up when it comes up. Okay, now on a dribble, say a dribble takes place. On any dribble, stay with the dribbler. If one takes the dribbler and he dribbles, you stay with him. Okay, let's go through that again. Free throw line extended. let's say the ball was here and 2 had him and 1 moves up. 3's going to cover here. 5 middle man. Ball is here. And we put. Now, as the ball moves, I'm just showing you the 4 guys. As the ball moves in a direction, remember that 4's responsibility is all the way in the same line of the basketball. So he can come all the way. If now, here we go. Here comes a powerful dribble. Let's say he's taking off. We're going to trap that. We'll trap it every time. 3 and 2 will make the trap on that. Now that's when the rotation's got to really take place, because 5 has got to take this responsibility, 4 has got to take that responsibility, and 1 has got to go back into the gap there to take that responsibility. We trap almost every single time in the corner. Now we can trap with. Let me show you what I mean. We can trap with 4 and 5. Okay. I call this short corner. If the ball's in the short corner, this is long corner, short corner, the ball sometimes out of that 1-3-1, they will place it in here. And let's say 3 was there. The only person, let's say 3 was covering a man and the ball went there. The only logical person that can cover him would be the 5 man. The 5 man is the only one out of a 1-3. So the 5, of course, is going to be coming to that. He's coming in that position to protect the basket immediately. When that ball is passed, 3 will wheel and trap with 5 in the short corner. This is where 4, who's on the offside, the ball has already been moved. 4 has got to take, he's got to get in a position where there's not an easy dump down inside. So that's when it becomes the toughest part. 4 has got to come over. If he's on the baseline side and they got him trapped, he's got to read whether to take him from the baseline side or in a position where he can make sure that he's got him covered where that pass can not come from this point to this point. That's the job he's got to do. That, to me, is the only part of the job that it may be the toughest for 4 to do, because he's got to come. There's no ifs and buts. He's got to be there, get that hand in a position where they can't throw it back inside. We'll let them have it back out, and we relocate. Okay? Let them have it back out, and we relocate. Okay, now, what do we do with this? We take it and we can run it here. We can start it right here with 1. He's going out here now. 2. In other words, we're moving it up the floor. We're moving it up the floor. If he's got the basketball and 1 runs at him and try to bring him down through here, this man, he can go get him. When that, of course, as he dribbling, he's covering. Now remember, he's rotating, and he's rotating. So what is happening is that we are being able to read out of our man. It makes it easy for us to read out of the zone type stuff, because they got zones to cover and it's easier to read. And what we're trying to do is what? Again, we're trying to get 2 guys on the ball and 3 guys covering the other. That's the basic thing that we're, the most simple part to look at is say, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get 2 guys on the ball and 3 rotating. Now, what are their chances? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that, if you're burning and they're beating you with it, you get out of it. I'm not married to any system. You see, just because, they say, hey, Arkansas press. Hell, if they start beating my press, I get out of that press. But I'm coming back. I'm getting out of it because you're kicking my butt right now and it's not doing too good. But I will be back. I'm like MacArthur. I shall return. So you're going to have to, I want that to play on the opponent's mind all the time. Hey, watch them. They're going to press you in a minute. Watch them. I like that. Okay? But I'm going to press you in different manners, in different ways, in which I think that can, again, change your plan of attack. I want to change your plan of attack that you work out every day in practice. I think that's very simple, and I don't think I can be any simpler than telling you that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Fellas, defense goes into motivation. How many kids, when they start playing basketball, go by the neighbor's house and say, "Hey, John, yeah, let's go play some defense"? You know, I would love to hear that one day and put it on the camera. You know, get my VCR out there and follow a kid around. He got his tennis shoes and his basketball, and he's bouncing. You know how they do. And say to him, "Hey, Bob, yeah, let's go play some D, baby." It never happened. It never happens. I think that's where coaches, not only in the terms of motivating, I think the most important thing in the game today is to make your kids play hard. See, all this other stuff won't work unless they play hard. You got to play hard. I don't want any kid that don't want to play hard. I mean, he cannot play for me. I'm too demanding. And so you got to make them play hard. That's, you know, they ask me every day, what are the keys to the game? First key is to play hard. Then we can go from there. But the first key is to get my guys motivated enough to play hard. How do you motivate them? Some guys don't have to do a whole lot of talking to motivate their kids. Some coaches motivate through fear. You know, they're scared to death, so they do some things. Then there are some coaches that love you to death, and they do a pretty good job. Then there are some coaches that don't either love you, nor do they hate you. They just probably get it done. I don't know. But in my turn, I think you got to give them a little sugar. Then you take it away. So that's kind of both ways. You give them some sugar, then you take it away. Great job! And everybody sees it. It makes them feel good. But you could have done this to prevent it, what happened. I think that's every one of us as human beings want to know when we've done a good job and when we haven't done such a good job. I like to always tell a story about that. 12-year-old boy at the drugstore picks up the phone and says, "Miss Johnson, my name's Bobby. I'm 12 years old, and I want to cut your grass." The lady says to him, "I've got a young man that cuts my grass, and he's pretty good at it." He says, "But I want to make you a deal." He says, "I'll cut your grass for 50 cents every weekend." She says, "He only cuts it every 2 weeks for $1. He says, "Right, I'm giving you a better deal. 50 cents. She thought about it. She said, "Well, no, this whole Bobby's a good kid. And not only is he a good kid, man, my grass is immaculate." He says, "I'm better than he is." She said, "You might be, but no, I'm afraid not. Bobby's too good." So he said, "Let me make you another deal then. Not only will I cut your grass for 50 cents, but I'll come over and take your trash out." She said, "How often?" "All the weekends. And through the week if you call me." She said, "You do that for 50 cents? "Yes, ma'am. I want that job." She thought about it. She says, "No, Bobby." Bobby kept hitting her. "No, I'm just afraid to trust anybody with my grass. Bobby's so good." And then he said, "Let me make my last deal." He says, "Not only will I cut your grass, come over and do some errands, and take your trash out, anything you want during the week, man, call me. I'm available." She says, "Son, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I appreciate you wanting to work. But I tell you one thing, the young man that you're competing against is so good that I'm afraid to lose him." He said, thank you, and hung up. And the druggist walked over to him and says, son, anybody that will do what you just did, I'll give you $2 an hour to work here at my drugstore and just to deliver the medicine. He looked up at the druggist. He says, I don't want your job. He said, wait a minute. I just heard a passionate plea for that job. He said, no. You see, I'm Bobby. I'm the guy that cuts the ladies' grass. I just wanted to hear that I was the best. That's all he wanted. He didn't want no money. And that's what I tell the guys invited playing basketball. That's motivating. All you want to know is, are you doing your job? And so I think sometimes you got to give them some sugar. You can't be brutal all the time. I think you have to do that. I think in today's market, I never will forget, and I'm from the old school, but I kept hearing this word, my bag. I don't know if all of you know what that is, but I thought it was my bag, B-A-G. That's what I thought it was. Because I hear them, they throw the ball away and somebody say, my bag. Damn. When I grew up, James Brown said Papa had a brand new bag. Well, hell, I didn't want them tricks out the bag. Not the one that you throw away, so that's what I thought they were saying, bag. So one day I said, Lee, why every time they throw it away or something happened, they say my bag? The coach, not saying my bag. They're saying my bad. My B-A-D. I said, oh. You mean to say they apologizing, in other words? Like it's my fault? Yeah. And it's okay then, isn't it? I guess so. And it's true. They said, hey, my bad, and it was over with. So I said, the next guy here say my bad. It's going to be my bad. Because when I sit your butt down, I'm going to say, what happened, coach? My bad. They understand that. They say, hey, you don't want to mess up. Coach says it's bad. That's my bad. See, if you can say it's your bad, it can be mine too. What am I trying to say is I got to learn to deal with the situation. I was a 7th grade coach right out of college. And I had these kids, Mexican Americans, they spoke very little English. And communication was so important in this motivating time. So I come in there and we're down like 75-7, halftime. So I walk in there and I said, hey! And I think about my old coach and we got to get aggressive. And I hit the board with chalk. Bang, out there, get aggressive, kids. And then the guys looking at me. I saw one of the little guys say, hey, coach, what number is he? Hell, I knew I was in trouble. What number is he? Communication is important, people. About you talking to those kids, you'd be surprised what they think. I'm not kidding. This on every level. 7th grade, I had a football team. I said, we check out everything but guts. Football coaching. I'm walking around. I got my little guys. And on the other corner, I had up there those who stay up with the Owls at night. Can't play with the Eagles in the morning. Little kids. Hey, coach, when we playing Philadelphia? So take the signs down. Communication is unreal. Unreal. I had a class, and as I said, 1-and-1, I was going over the basketball. I said 1-and-1. Back in those days, 15 foul, 1-and-1. You're in a 1-and-1 situation. I'm going to test you on it. Principal's sitting there. He says, watch these guys. Bounce the ball, pick it up, bounce it, double dribble. Good. Bounce the ball. Walking, traveling. Good. Principal said, wow, he's got it going. These kids are picking up. What's a 1-and-1? 2. He said, oh boy, you're doing real good, Coach Richardson. Just keep it up. But communication is very, very, very important. It's the same saying is, in trying to motivate people, the thing that I enjoy is the quotations that try to motivate me to do the best job I can. But here's one quotation that it always puzzled me when it says, "It doesn't matter if you win, it's how you play the game." That kind of bothered me. Because I went to find out who said that. Hell, he didn't sign his name. Because, hell, he was wrong. You know, it matters, especially on our level. Citadel came down. We lost our coach. One game. It matters. It doesn't matter if you win. You know, I went to see my grandson play the other day, and this is really nice because he's 6 years old. He's going to be a good athlete. His dad is all named Nolan. Everybody is Nolan. I'm just like George Foreman. Hell, you can't get none of my money if you don't name him Nolan. Hell, I ain't got much, but you can have a little of it. Anyway, little Nolan the fourth. He's out there playing, and they got a nice deal. They don't keep score. That's the damnedest thing I ever saw, boy. So after the game was over with, we're driving to McDonald's. I said, "Who won?" He said, "We did." I said, "How you know?" He said, "Because I made 10 baskets." I said, "What did the other team make?" Now, just tell you how they can lie. They made 8. I said, "How do you know they made 8?" I was counting. So we got through, and I said, "Look, do you know why they don't keep score?" "No." I said, "They don't keep score. I think that's the way they wanted the Olympics to be at one time. I think when they first originated the Olympics, they were going to make people friends, get everybody to be around each other. They had all these great plans. Then all of a sudden, they start giving gold medals, silver, and bronze." I said, "But at first, I don't think it was intended to be that way. I'm not sure that any of this athletic was intended to win at all costs. So as a youngster, what they're trying to do is say, just go out and play and have fun. So if someone asks you who won, say, I don't know. I just had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing." And then when you get on the next level, you're going to see a scoreboard. And then you're going to have people out there criticizing what the coach has done. Because, see, in my state, there's 2.5 million people. I got 2.5 million assistant coaches. That's true. And you're coming out of high school. I think one of the most important things that a high school coach or junior high can do for a young man today in terms of motivating him, I think the most important thing he can do is, first of all, be interested in the young man's welfare. I think that's important. I think we got to listen to what the problem that he might be having in order for us to help in some way. We may not be able to help in any way, but at least we can at least listen to what these problems are. And it might help you in terms of turning this young man into being a better young man and a better player for you, whether it's a girl or a boy. I think that's important. I think it's important that when you go to practice, that you take time to yourself. I think, in my case, 30 to 40 minutes prior to practice, I don't want anybody talking to me about anything. And it's always been that way. I'm going to tell you why. Because in those 30 or 40 minutes, I want to be so pumped up for practice that I'm going to do my best job. And let me tell you what I mean by doing my best job. 5 years ago, I lost my daughter to leukemia. And I used to always tell her, boy, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. And you don't ever give up. You never give up. We are not statistics. They said 1 in 20 with this. You're not a stat. Not until we leave this world do we become stats. So let's fight as long. I don't believe in a whole lot of stats today, even in basketball. And I'm telling you the story because in basketball, one day we get 10 rebounds, win by 50, and the newspaper guy says, you got beat, 20 on the board. I said, what the hell was the score? Who cares about getting beat on the board? They don't always tell the truth, the stats. And so I said, don't give up. And of course, she fought it. And I watched them mutilate her from cutting ribs, lungs, pieces. And she still was fighting. I saw that, and I said, man, life is so damn short. She's 15 years old and no longer with us. I saw a man the other day who was 87 and was leaving. He says, how short it's been. How short it's been. I think about that. I said, man, it is short. We're on this earth a little bit short. I was thankful that when I first started, that I dedicated myself to try to do the best job I could possibly do as a coach. Whether no one liked what I did, that wasn't important to no one. What was important to me is what I wanted done, and they were trying to do it. That was important. So if I got beat, or if it didn't work out, it was my fault. My bad now. See? And that's important. So that's why I say you got to pick out things to believe in order to teach. You know what? I feel the same way about Converse. If I didn't believe in Converse, I'm pretty high profile. I can make some money. But I believe that when I was a young man growing up wearing Chuck Taylors, the other day I had my kids, they all had to wear Chuck Taylors. At first, Coach, he says, go out there and play in them. Bring back my old days. Pink ones, yellow ones, green ones. We didn't have that color. Old white ones. And I said, if I didn't believe that this group, this organization, wasn't going to do the things that some of the other groups have done, and I said, hey, I don't believe it, then I cannot be a part of it. And the word to me, again, becomes loyalty. You see, I tell my assistants every day, loyalty to me against you people, you never have to be loyal to me as long as I'm winning. No one has to be loyal when the guy's winning, or a girl's winning, or a woman's winning. Nobody has to be loyal because you don't get those kind of questions put to you. I says, when I find out about your loyalty, it's when I'm losing, or when I'm down. And I find out about loyalty. I said that to say this in the 30 minutes that I spent to myself. I said to myself and to the good man upstairs, I said, Lord, I may not be here when this practice is over because I know life is short. But if you just pick up my legs and let me work, I'll put them down. If you just pick them up, I'll put them down. So I don't go out on the floor and look like a drugstore cowboy. I go out and I go to work because I asked him to let me work with my kids. Let me teach them the things that I feel is important for them. Not what's important to everybody that's looking at what we're doing, but what I think is important to them and what I believe in. And so for those 30 minutes, I don't want nobody calling me or talking to me. Let they handle that outside. So when I hit that floor, as soon as I step on that court, I'm a total different individual. Totally. I'm committed to doing the best job that I can do. You see, there are 5 P's in philosophy to me also. Preparation prevents piss poor performance. So what I'm saying to you in those 30 minutes is, I'm saying, please let me prepare them right. Please let me give what I've got. Don't let me go out every day with my little X's and O's and my little scoreboard board and not give them something more than a basketball. Let me give, I want to be able to, when I leave this earth, okay, go ahead.
Is Paul Needham in attendance? Would you please go to the main desk? There's an emergency call, please.
When I leave this earth, I don't think the good man upstairs is going to say how many games you won. I think he's going to say How many lives did you touch more than how many games you won? And how many lives you tried to save more than how many games you won? So I'm saying to you that in order for me to perform and for the good man to continue to bless me, then I must believe the things that I am doing, whether it's basketball, whether it's religion, whether it's, I don't force it on anyone, but I want to make sure that I touch my players, every one of them, in some form or fashion. Whether it's a seventh grader that I had when they were in the seventh, to the day that the guys that are playing in the NBA. There was times that I had to chew them. There's times that, but I never ever once, and I tell them this every day, when I chew you out or I say something to you, when I go home, I do not take that with me. I leave it right there on that floor. So if you see me the next day and say, Coach, about, I said, what did I say? I don't even remember, because I don't take it with me. What I said to you is what I wanted you to react to do then. Don't tell me about tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. And I qualify that, because in junior college, one of my little guards, the nicest young man I've ever met, probably in my entire life. Matter of fact, his uncle was a priest, so he was very religious. One day he came to the house and he said to me, Coach, I'm quitting. I said, why would you do that? He says, I want to do something with my life, and it's not basketball. The kid was a pretty good player. He says, so I'm going back home. I was in Snyder, and he lived in El Paso, which was my home. He was his dad and his family and everything. I tried to talk him out of it, of course. Had his mind made up. So he left that night. About 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings, and it's his father. He says, Nolan, Alfred is having some serious problems. Maybe you can help me. I says, I know. I thought he'd go home and you'd talk him out of it and he'd be back. He says, no. We just put him in the hospital. I says, what happened? I mean, he wasn't sick when he left here. He says, no, not the physical kind of sick. We think he has some problems mentally a little bit. He's talking about things that don't really make sense. When he hung up, we got through talking. The next morning, the phone rang again. It was 7, and the young man had committed suicide. Well, that bothered me so much. So I go back to practice the next day. And I always tell my guys, I say, you know what, fellas? You work today like you never worked before, because today may be the last day. We don't know. I said, just like Alfred, we didn't know. He didn't know he wouldn't be here tomorrow. One of the captains of the team came in and said, Coach, you know, it's a funny world, isn't it? I said, it's very funny. I said, but if you take what I'm telling you into your life, your chances are better. If you become a professional on any level and you work today as if there's no tomorrow, your chances are better. And that's why I say to them, being raised in an area down in by Mexico and listening to the word mañana, mañana means tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So if I'm a coach and I take that philosophy, I'm saying to you that the most important times in the coaching profession is the moment. And hope that those moments build into minutes and minutes and hours and days and months and years and years. Well, when you take that kind of attitude, I think a lot of good things happen. And I think that's the thing that I try to talk to our kids about. You see, every day is not practice on the practice. We sit in there and visit about what is good, what can be good, and how you can hopefully get to that goodness. That's important. It's important to me. And so I feel when we finish we have a pretty well-rounded athlete. It's not how many points, as I test my grandson, how many points did you make? It's what did you learn by being a part of that program other than basketball. I think when you motivate kids and you believe and you think that you can help them, your chances that you can help them. Because I'm looking at today, the times, and believe me, this is my 29th year. I'm just praying that I can get 5 more in. I'm not going to say the official's going to run me out because, hell, I asked one of them that the other day, you think Ray Charles will help us this year? He said, yeah, probably so. He said, hell, some of you call worse than he might as well. I'm not going to say that the media, which is very strong, is going to run you out. When I first got to Arkansas, we won 12 games. Have you ever seen a state in an uproar? Here's a guy like me taking over a program like Arkansas, win 12 games, lose 7 of them at home, which is unheard of. I had all kinds of jokes. Win one soon is going to be the new coach. I went into the AD and I said, look, let me tell you something about Nolan Richardson. Old Granny once said to me, she says, it's not how big the dog's in the fight, it's how much fight's in the dog. You know, and that's what I used to tell those little guys. I say, hey, you a bunch of little dogs here, but you got a lot of fight. And I said the same thing to myself, and I said to our players, hey, it's not how much, those are the things that count, baby. It's how much you got in here. I found out a long time ago, the greatest of all times is not no 7-footer. Well, the greatest of all times in everything probably is a human being 5'7", but a heart that's 9 feet tall. That's where winning comes from. Winning comes from in here. Winning is a habit, and losing is a habit. I love that habit of trying to win. I'll work twice as hard if you tell me I got a chance to win. So I tell myself that. You got a chance, coach. You got to work. That's where the 30 minutes come in. You say that every day. You come out to the practice. And so you use those 5 P's. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Prevent, prevent, prevent. Piss poor, performance. That's what you do. Can you imagine if you took that theory in any phase of life? You have a chance of preventing a lot of performances that are not very good. I'm going to end it up by saying, when coaches come to clinics, and I challenge you this because, like I said, for 10 years I came and sat down, and I still do. Never stop being a student of the game. There are a lot of things out there some of you guys are doing that I wished I could do. That's just the way it is. I don't think this game, there is a secret in this game that is going to make you a lot better than anybody else. I think there are some coaches that are very good at what they do. I think there are coaches that are dedicated and work extremely hard, and they don't win. They don't win. And they know the game inside out. They don't win. A lot of times that can happen because of talent level. And a lot of times it can happen because there, for some reason or another, you can't motivate. You got all the qualities, but you can't get that kid to bust his tail when the thing is on the line. That's the separations of the good ones and the great ones. Is when they can get that old boy to take that last step, to run that last mile, to go through that wall. If you say, Coach said, I'm going to get it done. I think that's the difference. And it's all a form of how I can get inside this young man's head and push him to the top. I'm not talking about a Michael Jordan. I'm not talking about a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. I'm not talking about those kind of guys. Because if a coach can make those kinds of players, then we'd have a whole college full of Michael Jordans. Dean Smith's team would be total Michael Jordans if you could make them. You cannot. I cannot. And that's why I say I can only try to push you to reach your potential and give all the credit to the good man who brought you here. That's the bottom line. So once I feel that the coaches have gotten bigger than he, then they're no longer coaches to me. Then they need to trade places. People, I've enjoyed being here, and as I said before, I'm a Converse man, and I believe in them. I believe that our materials and the things that we're making are totally different than they were even 3-4 years ago. I work for them, and I'm very loyal to the people I work for. I work for the University of Arkansas. I'm very loyal to the University of Arkansas. I'm loyal to my family, and I'm loyal to my staff, and I'm loyal to the people that are in my actual surroundings. If you get the opportunity to show your kids some of the things that Converse has to offer, I think that would really help us to continue to grow. You know, when I looked at the people who came in to speak to you, sponsored by Converse, it's pretty strong. I'm not included as one of the big boys, but I tell you one thing, I've heard some of those guys speak before as a big major college coach and sit down and took notes. Don't ever stop being a student of the game, I can say to you. Winning, as Vince Lombardi said, is everything. It does matter if you win. Because believe me, if I had not won, I would not be talking to you. Think about it. And Dean Smith, and Vanderbilt coach, Eddie, and all the other coaches that are on the major college level that comes here, they had to be able to do something to get where they are. And most of that is to win. So I hope you have a great, great season. I know Judd pretty well. He kicked my tail so bad in Hawaii that I don't speak to him anymore. That's another thing about me. I won't speak to you till I beat you. And I said, hey, how you doing, Judd? You remember when oh yeah, that's all right. But he's again one of the big time, very, very strong basketball coaches with a very, very brilliant mind. I think people in this area are very, very fortunate to have a man that can do the things that he can do. Again, I appreciate the invitation, and I hope if there's anything that Arkansas and the university can do, you can either write me or drop me a line. And some of the materials that I talked about, I talked about it only in a philosophy stage instead of breaking it down and showing you. I do have it written up, and I'd be glad to have our assistant that's in charge of that be glad to mail it out, because again, I don't have any secrets. Whether I teach it a different way, that may be the secret. Whether you can do it that way, that's the difference.